Okay, let's talk about possible cells for a CRZ conversion. This is the standard nickel metal hydride double 6-cell pack stick, and there's 8 of these if I remember correctly, or 7 of these in the pack. Seven of these in the pack gives 84 cells and gives our approximately 100 volt nominal voltage. Okay, so that's what's in there at the moment, and they're fairly hefty things. Now there are various options. Obviously the option I've been using for testing is the Lto blocks, and there are 12 cells in each of these blocks, and they have a nominal voltage of about 2.4 volts. And as you saw in the early videos, it was possible just to use 2 of these double blocks for 4 times 12, 48 cells, and that ran the car very nicely. Obviously that's quite big. That's probably about 2 of those is probably about twice as big as the OEM standard nickel metal hydride battery in volume, and it's about twice as much in weight, but it has about 5 times the actual capacity. So they're quite good, but unfortunately you can't get these anymore. I was lucky I have a load, which is why I'm using them. So then other options we have A123 pouch cells. These are 20 ampere hour, so they're very similar capacity, well, same capacity as the LTO. These are very thin and they're quite light. And these are slightly higher nominal voltage. These are 3.2 volts nominal. So 50 of these makes a very nice high power pack, and that would be just about the limit for our CRZ. For hacking, you wouldn't need as many as that if you just wanted a standard voltage, probably 40 or even perhaps 35 or something like that for a standard voltage pack. So that wouldn't be too bad at all. And what you can do with these is you can actually build a block quite easily by using double-sided adhesive paper. This has got like 2 layers of greaseproof paper on it, and then it leaves a sticky layer behind. So you peel one off, you stick it on there, and then you get your next cell after you peel off this top layer and stick it there. So you can quite quickly build up a big pack, and that's what I did over 10 years ago with this. This is a 50S pack, 20 ampere hour, and this is probably about 1.5 times heavier. I'll call it twice as heavy as the OEM pack, but again it's for 5 times the capacity, but it's quite a bit smaller in volume than the 2 LTO blocks. So I'll just lie it down. Oh dear, it's pretty heavy, as you can see. So that's one option, and that's made out of 50 of these stuck together in the manner I've described. They have tabs on the top, and you have to join those together. And they are dissimilar metals, which is a real pain in the neck. So I actually managed to solder them aluminium to copper, which was very difficult with very toxic flux. I wouldn't do that again. I would probably use some sort of mechanical joining method, riveting with some copper plates, etc. So that's another option. So you could make a pack, say, if we only needed for the CRZ 35 of these or something like that to get to the 100 volts nominal, then you might only need 2/3 of this volume here. And you could also stack them. You don't have to be on their side like I've got them there. This pack's over 10 years old, by the way. It could be like this, and this is 4 cells. This is a replacement for the 12 volt battery in the car, so it's a very light replacement for the 12 volt lead acid battery. It's got a little balancer board on it here, and a board just to tell me what the voltage of the 4 cells is. So you could make up the pack with perhaps 2 lots side by side, and you perhaps could have 15 in this one and 15 in this one, and then you might find that fits in the CRZ OEM battery space. But again, all that's to be experimented with, so that's another option. Obviously these are 20 ampere hour, very good at delivering high current, and can easily take the charge amperage. That's one of the things you've really got to be careful with cells. It's no good having cells that just cannot take the charge, because the CRZ will punish any sort of weakness in cells, and it will kill them off fairly quickly if they can't take the regeneration. Now this is another option. This is a supercapacitor. This is a lithium based supercapacitor, and it's quite similar to the A123 which you've seen. It's a bit smaller than those. It's about the same sort of thickness, about half the size of an A123. It's only actually got about 1/30th of the capacity of one of these, but they are incredibly good at giving out and receiving power. This one actually is 2,200 farads, and that's an incredibly high capacitance. It's got a working range of 3.8 to 2.2 volts, and again I've used 50 of these in a big block. It's over in the corner, and I use those in my Insight quite successfully. Obviously it just had enough power to give you a huge surge of assist, and basically it was a bit like a knackered CRZ battery, because that's not got much more than enough to give you 1 or 2 goes of assist, but it recharges very, very quickly, incredibly efficient, and they were quite good. So you could probably quite easily get 35 or however many you need in a block to fit inside the CRZ, because they are that bit physically smaller as well. That would just give you a super capacitor pack. It wouldn't give you much capacity, but it would give you instant energy, and that's another way of doing it. Now you can get A123 like these ones in round configuration, but whatever you choose, it's got to, if you want to fit it into the OEM space, and obviously you've got to size it all up. You've got to take the old battery, nickel metal hydride battery case out, possibly cannibalize it, hack it up. Then you've also got to make the connections. You need a BMS. This is like a 50 channel BMS here, and it connected to my own BMS which I had before. So you can see there are quite a few options. What I might do is this pack hasn't been used for years. The internal resistance of it now is probably reasonably high, but what I might do is I might reconfigure it, possibly if I can get it apart, because obviously it was made using those self-adhesive sheets, is maybe split it into 3 or 2 maybe, or chop a third off and then split the remainder in half, so that I can have 2 stacks side by side. So we end up something like that, which is about the size and shape of the CRZ battery space. Well, if we look at that, so here's a CRZ battery. I'll just move it out of the way. So if we have a CRZ battery here, you can see it's not far off. You could probably do something by having 2 piles of these cells in a CRZ battery case if you can get enough in. You know, again, you just have to work out what you can get where. It's a question of physically fitting it all into the space. So there are lots of options available. One chemistry I wouldn't use is lithium polymer, because that does have a tendency, as we've seen in various Chinese videos, to go on fire. A123 and LTO are fairly safe chemistries, but you have to make the choices at the end of the day. Cost doesn't particularly bother me. You're not going to save a lot of money with a lithium pack unless you do all the work yourself and your time is free, because it's a fairly fiddly business. As you can see, assembling this A123 block obviously took many hours of work, wiring it all up, testing it, building the BMS. But once it was obviously built, it was very, very good, and I used it for at least 3 or 4 years in my Insight, and it was very successful. There is a video, various videos of this in construction on my channel. So if you want to see what else I've been doing, have a look on my channel. If you don't mind pressing the like button, that's useful, and obviously I'll keep you updated with the CRZ build as we continue. I'm still waiting for some more parts, which is why I've done this video today, because I can't really get on with much else until some extra parts arrive, and then we'll be back to continuing with the CRZ with the 72 cell LTO setup.